This episode of After the Whistle contains profanity. Listener discretion advised. Please enjoy.
You sent a tweet out this morning, and my wife, I was literally sitting in a chair, having a cup of coffee, and I was reading over some of your tweets because you're just that guy that wants to tweet out everything all the time now. But you said something out about
Craig. It's self-promotion in the best interest of After the Whistle.
But it was about Elf on the Shelf, and I was laughing my head off, and I called my wife over and I said, "Read this one." And the tweet that you had sent out was what?
I said, what's harder, remembering to move the elf or coming up with the lie about why the elf hasn't moved? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I added, like, the elf just adds stress. Like, it's stress.
Oh, it's so stressful. I screwed up, I screwed up on Friday. This last Friday. Krista told me multiple times. I said, I've got it. Can you relax? Give me some space, woman. And I completely forgot. And I can still remember it was like 5:45 or like almost, it wasn't quite 6 o'clock. And I can hear my daughter standing beside my wife. And my wife's trying to explain to my daughter why they didn't move. And I rolled over and then realized what had happened. And I just rolled back over and buried myself under the covers. And I was thinking to myself, oh man, am I going to get it? My wife is going to absolutely lose it. So last night, it's amazing. Last night, same thing. She went up to bed. I'm watching the football game. 14 times, 14 messages went by. Did you move them? Did you move them? And the whole night, I couldn't even focus on the damn football game. I couldn't focus because I'm like, should I just get up and do it now? But I was really comfy in the seat. And so anyway, my older son was there, and he's probably the reason why that I did move them. I said, hey, it's on you now. It's on you. Do not screw this up for Josie. Anyway.
No, not anyway. There are people out there. I got to read a couple of these responses. There are people out there that have this thing rappelling from a goddamn like chandelier. They do things with the elf, and they like create these worlds with the elf. And like this guy hits me right. He goes, I can't remember what he said, but he's like, it's funny. He's like, parents have these things, hanging from the chandeliers and like, doing these magical things at night. They put all this time into it. And he goes, and here's mine, stuffed between a curtain rod and a wall. Like, it's like mine. I mean, like my guy just ends up like, I don't know, I'll put him over there. Like he's supposed to be on a shelf. Like all these parents go through these effort of like cutting out snowflakes and making it look like this guy made a mess. And like, oh my God, give your heads a shake, get a life. Okay, we got to go because Jeremy Roenick's coming on. Welcoming in the world of JR, episode 20. And it's funny, when you were coming on our live show with us for years, we would always say, where are you? What are you doing? Because you were doing shows from everywhere. I mean, you're always on the go.
Yeah, it's constant. And, whether I say I'm going to slow it down, I keep saying, I'm going to be 52 in a month. I got to settle down. I got a job. I got a real job, like one where I can actually go to an office, and I have to pay FICA again and taxes on a paycheck, which I love, by the way. So yeah, but then all of a sudden something comes up. I got an offer to come to do this. I got why don't you come speak here? I got a golf tournament here. Yeah, I just spent 5 days in Pebble Beach with 16 guys playing in a Ryder Cup style tournament, which we won. I should mention. And I lived for 5 days on red wine and vodka sodas. That was pretty much the the level of the diet that we were on for 5 days. And now I'm in San Francisco where it's cold as shit. It's probably as cold here in San Francisco as it is where you boys are. And then I'm heading up to drink some more wine in Napa and playing a little golf event in Napa for the next 2 days. And then, you know,
The life of JR.
flying back.
Let me ask you, who's in the group of 16 guys we know?
Two guys that you would know. Brian Urlacher was there, and he's also coming up. He's also coming up here to Napa to join me. And Danny Boyle, who we played with in San
Now,
Jose.
where does he reside? Is he still in San Jose?
Yeah, still in San Jose. Yeah,
No
so
way.
it was a quick trip for him to come down to Pebble and enjoy 3 rounds. I think he was a little overwhelmed because the boys were, you know, pretty big competitors in the Ryder Cup tournament, and he lost his last match. And you know Danny Boyle, he's one of the biggest competitors of all time. He was not happy. He was a crusty.
When I think Dan Boyle, I think 2 things. 3. Number 1, didn't his house catch on fire during the playoffs when he was playing for Tampa Bay during the Stanley Cup Finals against the Flames? I thought his house caught on, but he won a cup with Tampa, did he not?
Yeah, he beat us. They beat us in the semifinals in the conference finals in 7 games. The Flyers.
Ask him that sometime. And then
That sounds familiar to me, too.
Yeah, I feel like his garage or something caught on fire and he had to move out of his house during the Stanley Cup final. I don't know why that. I don't know why that even registers in my brain.
Listen, looking back on it, knowing that he's safe and all that stuff, I wish it would have burned his skates and his hockey equipment. That would have been if it was in the garage, because he was a killer against us in that playoff series, especially in Game 7.
Well, so then the other thing is he not the guy? Did he play in the Rangers?
Yeah, he's the guy that absolutely tore up.
Yes. Brooks?
What's Brooks? Yeah, Brooks, the reporter, Brooks
Yeah.
for the Rangers.
They
absolutely
got after
tore him big time. Danny Boyle hates that man probably more than anybody on the planet. Brooks was never fair to him, and pretty much it wasn't fair to a lot of people. You know, he's a puppet.
But that's his writing style. I think that's his,
Brooks is a
writing
puppet.
style. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a puppet. He's a puppet of the Rangers. He's literally a puppet for the Rangers. I don't have any respect for Brooks either, and I can totally understand and absolutely replayed that video of Dan Boyle in the locker room telling Brooks to get the fuck out of the locker room because nobody likes him. I played that over and over again, and you know, I had the I Love Dan Boyle shirt on for a while after I saw that video.
Listen,
you know that Boyle got traded to San Jose. They got rid of me because I was a mutt bag. Traded me to Sabres, and they went and picked up Dan Boyle, right-handed shot, and the guy who bought my house,
Rob Blake.
Yeah,
Rob Blake. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
two very good players. So,
we needed 2 major big defensemen to take the place of Craig Rivet, and they did their best to do it. See?
That year, Craig was super uneasy. JR, were you in San Jose the year after? I can't remember that. Yeah. So you were there after. Riv was really uneasy that year because you guys were really good. And he was like, if the San Jose, I remember you saying this to me, and this is, there were no swear words or anything. I was like, how would you feel if San Jose won the cup? Because they were on fire and we were not making the playoffs. He's like, I will puke.
I totally get it, and that was one of the biggest major failures of my career as teams go. I think there's 5 teams in the history of the game who have won the President's Cup trophy, the best team in the league, and was bounced in the first round, and I was on 2 of them. Yep, I was on 2 of them. Chicago Blackhawks in '91 and the 2008-9 Sharks team, and that was a terrible thing to go through. There's no question about it.
I'm pretty sure I was on the 2008-9 team, was I not?
No, you were on the Sabres.
No, you're on the 7-8 team. maybe the beginning of the year.
Okay. All right.
08-09 was my last year in Buffalo. I played 1 year with Riv,
Yeah.
and I was worst
So
year
I have
on the ice for me,
yeah.
best year off the ice by far. I had the most fun by far, which is probably why I didn't back there.
Okay, I have two analyzations of that from my own perspective. Number one, LA, when I played for the Kings, was by far my worst year on the ice. It was like embarrassing how bad I played. There are reasons for it, but off the ice, epic season. Epic. LA, Manhattan Beach, crazy. So I can attest.
Good trade-off then.
So what do you
good
what do you
trade-off,
mean?
JR?
What do you mean crazy? Like just off the ice, playing in LA? Was it just like going out with the who's who every night and just mingling with the crowd?
Every night after the game, you know, what is really cool is if you guys remember, in Staples Center, they have the Chairman's Club, the Chairman's Bar, which certain people, VIPs, high-paying customers can go in between periods and after the game. It's a very high-end.
They carry that over from the
bar.
Great Western Forum. They had that there, correct?
Similar, yes.
Similar
not as
type
big.
thing?
Not as big. It's more quaint, more classy, more higher end than the Forum Club back in the day. And after every game, literally, it's 20 steps from our locker room with the Kings to the front door of the Chairman's Club. And you go in and, you know, that's where you meet your family afterwards. There's a bunch of people in there, all beautiful people, by the way, I should add. A couple cocktails in there. Next thing you know, it's out to the Sky Bar. You know, you're going to see Brad Pitt. You're going to, you know, see, you know, Halle Berry hanging out. Who knows who you're going to see? But it was like every night something seemed to be going on. And then Manhattan Beach is Manhattan Beach. I mean, you're living on the water. You're living near the sand, the Strand.
Where did you live?
I lived on Manhattan Beach Boulevard, 1 block from the Strand, from the beach, and literally 2 streets from the main strip of Manhattan Beach, where all the restaurants and bars were. 2 blocks. So
now, was there a relationship with you know, a star? Was there a relationship, like guys that you kind of met, that you became friends with?
Not really. Nothing that was. I mean, we saw a bunch and hung out with a bunch at parties at certain points, but you know, that was at the time when like Alicia Cuthbert was like hanging around the Kings and started really getting into the hockey scene, and you know, ended up marrying Dion Phaneuf.
Yep.
You know, there was a bunch that were around, but we didn't make it a point to hang out with them all the time.
What was that show she was on? And it was awesome.
Show? She was in a movie, then some neighbor, my next door neighbor.
With Sutherland, the young
Kiefer Sutherland?
Yeah.
Or Donald Sutherland.
It was a show, Riv? A TV show?
It's a TV show. It was a TV.
I don't know.
24.
She was in that?
24.
She was on 24? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that she was in 24. It was absolutely insane show.
JR, you're a Pats fan, right?
I am a Pats fan.
Catch
Yes.
the game last night?
I watched it. I watched it from my phone. I didn't watch it on television. I was watching it go through my phone and watching what was happening. But I was out to dinner with some clients and couldn't watch the game. But
kind of checking
looked like a pretty good football game though.
Cold as hell.
Boring as all hell.
I live about 2 miles from the
sorry.
stadium. I couldn't believe they were even going to play the game at some points. How windy it was. It was absolutely insane.
Should have seen the conditions.
Buffalo's shit in the bed second half, man. They've been terrible.
You know who?
I actually argued that they had a chance to win the Super Bowl in the beginning of the season, first 4 or 5 games, and now it's like they'd be lucky just to get to the playoffs.
I don't give up on Buffalo. I think I mean I really do believe that the weather conditions benefited New England in that game. Like, you had Mac Jones, who threw 3 passes the entire game, JR.
Yeah, no
3
kidding.
passes the entire game. They ran the ball constantly. Buffalo couldn't
to
stop
sleep.
the run, and I mean, the rest is history.
Another Bill Belichick special, right?
It was
Finds
just
a way to
incredible.
win football games. Yeah.
Well,
They're saying best coaching year he's ever had, which is saying something, right?
Well, you know who we
That's a
talked
pretty
to
small
yesterday?
statement.
You know who we had on? His pod will drop. We'll drop with him sometime this week. Is Ryan Leaf? We had Ryan Leaf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talked to him. It was Monday night game and everything, so we asked him about it, and he said Belichick. I mean, he said they look like they did when they were the Patriots with Tom Brady, and he said that's just. And Riv and I both said at the same time, how is that possible? And he just said Bill Belichick. Like,
yeah, that kid had so much promise and talent, and just never panned out, huh? Ryan Leaf, did you talk about his?
Oh yeah, his stories.
debacle?
His story's out there. I mean, he's had. Yeah, it's a crazy story. He was in jail. Eh? He was in jail for trying to rob a house and get pain pills. He was in jail for.
Yeah, I remember that.
36 months or 32 months or something, and then he's completely clean and sober now. He's doing college.
Good for him.
College football. He's going to be working with the NFL for the remainder of the season. He's really like I call it a resurrection.
See, I love those stories. I love those stories, and good for him for battling the way back, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, well,
he kind of reminds me of this book that's sitting on my desk in this room, and it's exactly what Ryan Leaf did. And I would hope a lot of people have the ability to do it too. If you can see what it says.
Unfuck yourself.
Yep.
Get out of your head and into your life. Gary John Bishop.
I'm taking this book, by the way, boys. I'm taking it. It was in my room. I'm taking it because as I've been told many times to go fuck myself, I have to find a way
Was
to
that just sitting
myself.
in your room?
Yeah. Yep. Sitting in my room. I'm staying in a little boutique hotel. Yeah.
I believe in signs. I watched this thing yesterday with Ryan Leaf, and I started watching it a week ago. It's an hour and a half, but I watched it in bits and pieces. I have a kid. So I watch it bits and pieces. I watched the rest of it yesterday. I've listened to his podcast. He mentions the number 76 so many times every time he talks, like just randomly, and I wore 76. I quit drinking on May 15th. His birthday is May 15th.
Wow, that's wild.
We're talking about Ryan Leaf and that book sitting on your desk right there. I believe in that kind of stuff. I don't know what you call that, but there's something I don't care. I'm not even afraid to say it. I'm like I don't see the number 76 and think, that's so egocentric. I'm just thinking like with the story that he's telling about his recovery back to life. I'm 9.5 years sober. He's 9.5 years sober. I feel like when I listen to him speak, I'm like, man, I not completely that way, but fuck, I could have been very, very, very similar to Ryan Leaf in a lot of ways, minus the talent.
Well, this is why I'm happy what you said, that he's cleaned himself up. It's so easy to go one way, and it's so difficult to go the other. And the people that have the willpower and have the fortitude and the staying power to keep up something that's not fun, not pleasant, it's sometimes painful, they deserve a lot of credit. They deserve a lot of credit.
He gave one stat in his speech when he was speaking to Washington State University. He said 33 inmates on my block. He said the rule of thumb about prison is once you go in, you always go back. That's what he said. When you're, that's kind of what prisoners' rule is, right? And he said 33 in. He said the only 2 that have stayed out were him and his roommate. And his roommate has a crazy story that he tells in that speech too. About how he accidentally killed somebody, drinking and driving, and he was a military veteran, and he's like, he made a mistake, and he just completely changed his life too, and he's rejuvenated his life too. So he just kind of happened to walk into Ryan Leaf's cell, kind of by fluke. That's why I kind of think that's why I believe in all that stuff. But anyway, enough about that. I mean, I know we're itching to talk to you about some hockey that's going on
Let's
around the
go
world.
talk some hockey, boys. What's happening in the world? Tell me.
Well, I mean, I don't know how often
you've been out of commission for
kind of been
week.
off the grid, eh?
Yes, but
There's a lot happened in 7 days.
It doesn't matter whether I see or know, because once you tell me, I'll have an instant opinion on it. So
okay, shock factor. Let's see if you've heard this yet. Vigneault fired from Philly.
Heard it.
Thoughts?
Travis Green fired from Vancouver.
Benning fired from Vancouver.
From Vancouver. Number one, I think Alain Vigneault is a great coach. He's obviously he had a good surrounding cast with him. Flyers are underperforming, and of course that's what's going to happen. Vigneault is kind of one of the last surviving old school mentality coaches. I had Alain Vigneault as a coach when I was in junior. It was very, very tough. I think he's coached professionally a little bit different than he coached the junior ranks, but he's a very
well, how did he coach in the junior ranks?
With a lot of verbal
abuse,
yelling. No, I wouldn't call it abuse. I would never say that.
Well, it's abuse anybody. Nowadays. You can't literally say anything to these guys.
Nowadays, yeah. So I'll give you a perfect example. We at the time I was playing in Hull, you had to wear. This is the as it started in the National Hockey League or in hockey. We had to wear neck guards and full face masks in the Quebec Major Junior League. All right. It's one of the stupidest rules on the planet, especially the neck guards, because they were afraid that the skate was going to clip somebody's neck game in, game out. Paranoia, like extraordinaire. Anyway, so if you didn't have your neck guard, you couldn't play. And Martin Gelinas forgot his neck guard. And for whatever reason, we didn't carry more neck guards, but Martin Gelinas couldn't play on the road. We were playing in Victoriaville, and we lost the game. So we drove back, and every one of our drive backs is 4, 5, 6 hours back to Hull. Well, we got back at 2:30 in the morning, cold as shit. The equipment had been underneath the bus, so being all wet equipment under the bus was freezing cold. We went into the locker room, and Alain Vigneault came in and said, it puts up a camera in the locker room and makes everybody get dressed, get in front of the camera and say one, with the neck guard, with the helmet on, take your equipment off, go in front of the camera, say one. We had to do that 10 times. We had to put on all of our equipment 10 times, right? With the neck guard, and make sure you said.
And then the next time you say 2 and then 3.
Then 2 and then 3. Okay. And then
your coaches are such dicks, man. They have
that's awesome.
No, it's not. What are you talking about? That's not awesome.
Last one. But then after the last one, after everybody got dressed for the 10th time, everybody had to go out to the bench and sit on the bench. And the coaches skated Martin Gelinas up and down the ice, and all of us were sitting there freezing at 3:30 in the morning, watching Martin Gelinas do wallies up and back for about 30 minutes.
Is that a lesson? Is that really a lesson to a teenage kid? Really?
I'll tell you what, not one person forgot their neck guard the rest of the year. I'll tell you that.
There are other ways they probably could have. I bet you Gelinas not playing would have been enough.
Way?
Gelinas not playing would have been enough for the team to be like, shit, I don't want to forget my neck guard because I don't.
Then you're hurting the team.
So you guys are all right with that?
I'm totally fine with that. You know what? Suck it up, Buttercup. You know, you forgot. You made a mistake. You're gonna pay the price for it.
What a dick. What a dick move.
Like, we hated it at the time, but I laugh at it now. I have no problem with it.
Is that abuse, PD, to you?
I don't know. I'm going to try it on my kid. I'm going to try it on Brody. Like, when he forgets something, I am going to try it on Brody and see how it works.
Listen. The problem with one of the problems with our world is there's no consequence anymore. Nobody has consequences anymore. What they fucking do in government, no consequences. What they do in the media, no consequences. What they're doing in the cities and looting and taking things, no consequence. Sometimes you have to have a consequence for the actions, whether it's big, little, small, but it has to be direct and it has to be felt. Because how else are people going to stop doing something if there are not consequences that are attached to it? And that's where our country is fucking losing their minds.
Yeah.
Especially the media. They can lie all they want. And you know what? They get caught lying and they go like this. We have
just
to
doing my
alter
job.
our previous, we have to alter our previous reporting. Sorry. That's it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you've just fucked like 300 million people in terms of getting them the proper information. And all you have to do is say, sorry, we just have to alter our previous reporting.
So
They need
JR,
consequences.
yeah.
We
So
were
JR, I had Vigneault in Montreal, and he was hired right out of junior. And it's not very often. It did happen back in the day, but it doesn't happen often that you would get a Quebec major junior or OHL or WHL coach and come directly to the league. I think that there is a learning process going from what I would call young men, kids, 16, 17, 18-year-old guys that you're coaching in junior to dealing with guys that are men that have families, and it's very
100%.
different.
Yep.
And Alain
100%.
Vigneault came to Montreal, and his nickname was Gant for arrogant, because he walked around like he
does have that persona, right? He does have. He throws off that aura. I know.
But I believe that he knew that he was dealing with a very different monster in the National Hockey League. He was dealing with guys that were much older, much stronger in their beliefs, family men, guys that just were more mature. But he had an aura about him that was just, oh my Lord, it's just like too cool for school type. And it really irritated a lot of guys. That being said, I do believe that he is a very good coach.
He's a very good coach. I mean, he's had a good NHL coaching career.
Yes, he has.
Sometimes you don't like how the message that comes across. But Alain Vigneault's message was always in the right direction, and I feel bad for him. I feel even worse for Travis Green, another good friend of mine and another amazing coach.
Will he get another job?
100%. If you look at what he has done in his time of coaching, when in the AHL and what he did in the AHL, he had probably a East Coast ECHL East Coast style team, and turned them into a team that went to the finals and team that competed and went to the playoffs every year. He made people compete every single night, and he actually turned Vancouver around and made them a team that was tough to play up until this year. But I think that's a player letdown. That's not a coaching letdown. That's a player letdown. And, I think Greener will be back in the game very quickly. Him and Rick Tocchet, I think, are the two probably best coaching options out there today, that if somebody else gets gassed, they should slide right into it. Rick Tocchet should slide right into Philly, to tell you the truth. He's a Philly guy. They love him there.
Fit. Yeah, he started his career there, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah, he's number 22. He's legendary. He just went into the Flyers Hall of Fame 2 weeks ago. Would be a great fit. I mean, a lot of pressure, but would be
that
a
being
great
said,
fit.
you look at the Philadelphia Flyers. They have underachieved, and they definitely made some moves this year, bringing in Cam Atkinson from Columbus, traded away Jake the Snake Voracek, brought in Ristolainen, brought in Keith Yandel. They brought in some players that hoping to get some better results. But how much longer does Claude Giroux have in a Philadelphia Flyer uniform? Is it time? He's in the last year of his deal. They have not renewed it. Is this the year that Claude Giroux is moved?
It's a great question, and I think he's going to be a deadline move. I truly believe that he's going to be a guy that needs a change of venue, change of surroundings, and we all know what happens when you get a little boost to your to your ego and you get traded. You want to make sure you play good. Every guy that I've seen, most guys I see get traded. They're great hockey, play great hockey. Oh. I think he's a trade deadline move. Somebody who's going to go for a cup.
If Pittsburgh doesn't move, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy for thinking they'd ever move Crosby but definitely I could see them moving Malkin. But if they're serious about trying to win again with those guys before they're done, that would be a great spot for Giroux to go. It'd be Pittsburgh.
Could you imagine what? I don't know. God, I don't know if the GM will survive a Claude Giroux trade to interstate.
No, I'm saying it would have to be off season next year. It wouldn't be that, but I mean this year, because they couldn't do it unless they'd be out of the playoffs.
They can do it because when you look at Philadelphia, I believe that they need a roster change. Like Claude Giroux is an older player. Cam Atkinson's 29. Derek Brassard is a guy that I think you could be moving on from. James Van Riemsdyk should be moved.
Brassard's going to have every claim check on his bag from every city in the National Hockey League. I'm telling you, he should keep that.
I think
who has the most teams? Do you know who it is?
Yes,
most teams played on in the NHL.
Your era.
You probably played with them. In fact,
you might have.
In fact, I'm going to guarantee Mike Sillinger.
He really? I never played with Mike. Believe it or not. I mean, I know Mike, and he's in Arizona a lot, but I don't know.
Oh, I thought for sure. Vanek was knocking on that door too. Thomas Vanek was getting close.
11 teams. Does it not?
11 teams. Wow.
Yeah, it was 11 teams, but I think a couple teams he had gone back to, like traded to. So I think it was like 13 different moves or something like that. You see anything going on in that Toronto game? Like Jason Spezza's got a hearing for that knee to Pionk's head. Like, was that really a bad knee by Pionk on Sandin? I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I read about it. Yeah. He can't do anything anymore. I thought, there's no I think there's no level of where you can go, what you can do. Even the slightest little things that you do are going to be scrutinized by the league and by the fans or by the media. Because this game happens so fast. I mean, do you think someone really thinks they're going to try to knee somebody in the head on purpose? And Jason Spezza is not that type of guy. I don't know if you know Jason Spezza, but he's one of the nicest, one of the coolest guys on the planet, and one of the best teammates on the planet. So
he's the furthest guy.
He has an in-person hearing too, which means
5 games or more.
You're looking at 5 games or more.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like he just wasn't he just trying, like, I mean, you didn't see it, JR, but to me, it just looked like he was trying to finish the hit. Like, it just looked like he was trying, and he went down really low, and his knee caught him. But, I mean, that's so out of Spezza's character. I do not believe for a second that he's trying to injure anybody. But I don't even know if it's that or if they're just going to try to make an example out of these guys because they want to try to, prevent, these things from happening, or players thinking that they can go and try and take matters into their own hands. Like, that's the problem. You went and said something earlier about accountability, about something we were talking about, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I don't necessarily love fighting. I didn't love my way of fighting, where 2 big, tough guys that train in the summer to fight go out and fight. But if a guy's going to go out and knee somebody and he's still in the game, then somebody should go and answer to it. Like, I am so tired of seeing Austin Matthews get fucking mauled, and he doesn't do a fucking thing about it. drives me nuts. Like,
did you see who is it?
I don't think I've ever. I don't think I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen anybody on the bench go, "Hold on, Riv, hold that thought." But I don't think I've, and I don't. I would like to hear if you guys did. I don't think I've ever heard anybody on the bench go, "You know what? I fucking hate that guy. I'm going to go knee him and knock him out of the game, and I'm going to make sure that I do that, and then actually go do that." I don't think that happens. Or I'm going to hurt him, and it's going to be done. No, I don't.
Hey, you know what? I know I've heard guys say, "I'm going to run him through the fucking boards," and if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. But they do it, and it's clean. And you know what? And that's part of the game. That's within the rules. Injuries are part of the game. You want to injure? I'm sorry, JR. But if I'm going to hit you with the puck, if we're playing against you and I'm a rookie and I'm 23 and Jeremy Roenick is vulnerable, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to run you over.
Yeah.
Like
that's what Petey, when I played, especially in the early 90s, in the mid 90s, I hit to hurt. I didn't hit to separate a puck. I hit to inflict pain. I truly wanted to hit somebody so hard that they saw stars, that they would next time be a little bit intimidated going into the corner or doing something when they knew I was on the ice. I didn't hit just to separate pucks and to stop. I hit to hurt. But a lot of people hit to hurt in the 90s. That's what that was all about. I used to leave my feet. How many times my shoulder made contact to people's chins and like knock out? Kelly Kissio probably doesn't even remember who the hell he is anymore after the way I hit him back in 1993. I mean, the guy did almost a total backflip in the middle of the ice. Went out looking like Droopy the dog. Didn't even know where he was. Stu Grimson said, "Hey, Kelly, somebody better tell you when the Zamboni's on the ice next time." You know, stuff like that. That doesn't happen anymore. But that's how it used to be.
I just thinking about this when I said if I had Jeremy Roenick lined up, like I'm not even convinced that you would have been totally fast enough to get out of the way, right? But I'm thinking it just makes me think about who's a star that I tried to kill. I had Crosby lined up one game in Pittsburgh. Okay, if there are analytic stats out there, I think I probably played 45 seconds against Crosby by accident. Okay, and it was on the road, and I had him. It was right by the hash marks in their end, and I was going to go, and I was about to smoke him. Like, I didn't think he saw me. I'm like, this is going to be amazing. And at the last second, as I go to lunge into him, he's gone. Like, gone. Okay? I'm like, am I that slow or is he that fast? Is what's
probably probably combination a little bit of both.
Fuck off. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. But anyway, it's just
Come on, like I can't believe Riv didn't throw one on that one. Hey Riv, sorry about your Dubois. I interrupted you on your Dubois. Sorry,
no. I'm literally, as you're talking about all these things, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I was actually pretty clean. Tried to play the game the right way. And then I was thinking to myself, you know what? Like,
that really is so false.
Kind of dirty, but
so false.
Like, and the funny thing is, I remember like, you know, going after Matt Sundin one night in Montreal, and I smoked him behind. And he's a big man, like he was a lot bigger than I was. But I went and I laid him out behind the net in our zone. It was awesome. Then I got chirped all the way up the ice by Domi. And I came around on a few shifts later, and I tried to run Sundin right at the bench. And I caught him, and it was amazing. Crowd went absolutely crazy. Sundin off the ice, Ty on the ice. And now I'm like,
oh, here we go.
I knew this was going to happen sooner or later because he's been screaming at me all night. And I was backing up, and then bam, my angel stepped in, and that was Shane Corson.
Oh yeah.
And Corson, who, I mean, he is one of the toughest guys he could be the toughest guy that I've ever played with. Unassuming tough.
Oh,
man, he was not a super big guy. He's only around like 200 pounds.
I love Shane
But
Corson.
oh my Lord, I've never seen a guy so strong. And
I fought Shane Corson.
He'd fight anybody.
I
He
fought
would
Shane
literally fight
Corson,
anybody.
and I remember fighting him, and I remember thinking like, okay. I was so tired at the end of it. I tried to do the pant leg. I had my right hand, I had my left hand over. I think I was grabbing like his number. Okay. And this is embarrassing. I tried to grab, I was 22. So I was still in the American League, and I was playing an exhibition game against Toronto in the preseason. And I grabbed the pant leg and I tried to do the pant flip that I learned in Don Cherry's Rock'em Sock'em 1. I couldn't lift his leg. Like, he had his feet planted on the ground. I could not even get his heel off the ice.
Funny.
I was pulling and pulling, and his leg would not give out from underneath him to even lift a little bit. I was like, Jesus, this guy's an absolute.
I guess where I was going with this point is that the players policed a lot of that stuff themselves. And now I understand the league and their thought. They don't want injuries. They don't want guys to have, long-term issues with concussions from fighting.
Which is understandable.
I totally get it. That being said, my mentality and the way that I played and the way that I wanted to play and the team camaraderie, I enjoyed playing and playing my style, but also having guys on my team that can come and help me out. And,
absolutely.
But it goes to show that I did something wrong. I had someone that was coming after me and I had to address it, usually myself. And it just seems like there's none of that anymore. Like Pionk, when you look at the Pionk knee, I don't think that Pionk is the type of player or has that mentality that he's going to directly go out and injure somebody on a knee. The game happens at a split second. And a lot of these guys have to make decisions when guys are shooting and juking and jiving. You have to make a split decision. And I think that this is one of those plays, and it's not a good play. He clipped, Sandin, who went down and was injured. Take your 2 minutes, take your 5 minutes, get kicked out of the game, whatever it is. But that'll be addressed next game.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be addressed by Wayne Simmons going to beat up Pionk. It's got to be, a guy that's in Pionk's weight class. Do you understand? So, that's the way it goes.
So what you were saying and where you're going kind of brings me back and maybe to a different topic, but of the same topic that we've been talking about. The first guy that ever came to my defense that fought for me because something happened to me in a game back in 1980, I think it was 88, 89, was Marc Bergevin. So Marc Bergevin was the first guy ever to fight for my defense, which forever will be one of my favorite people because of that. Did he get a raw deal or did he get a raw deal?
We haven't talked to you. We didn't talk to you last week. That's right. Yeah.
Marc Bergevin just got one of the biggest lack of respect decisions to get.
How many years you're going to get?
It doesn't matter. He took a team, and granted, I don't care what the type of the season that it was. He took a team that nobody would have predicted to go to the Stanley Cup final last year,
let alone make the playoffs. You're talking about go to the Stanley Cup finals. That's a team that was borderline going to make the playoffs.
So after 21 games, after taking your team to the Stanley Cup finals and doing a bang up job, you get fired. I mean, if there's no loyalty, like situations that I've ever seen, that is the biggest lack of loyalty towards a guy who lives and breathes Montreal hockey and has represented that team so well.
But is a different voice at some point in time important? He was there for 9 years. He did some great things. They made the playoffs 6. They went to a conference final in 2014. They went to the Stanley Cup final in 2021. You know what? At what point It's just a fresh start and a new beginning, what a team needs sometime. And this has nothing to do with Bergevin and his ability to be a great GM, because you know as well as I do that he is going to get a job very quickly if he wants it. I'm just saying, is it time?
Well, his name's been brought up for the Vancouver job.
Yeah,
I've heard his name be rumbled in the Vancouver job.
Yeah,
and they should hire him because he's a very, very good hockey mind, and he is a very loyal person. He is a very dedicated person to the game, loves the game, and you know what, Riv? Yes, you're right in a sense, but 20 games. You give him 20 games before you fire him. It's utter bullshit. And I feel bad for Bergevin. And I know that whoever made that decision with the Montreal is trying to save face with the fans, save face with the media, and that's what they did.
Hey, that's what it's all about there. It's all about saving face with the fan base and the media.
But again, this is one of the things that drives me fucking crazy about not just the National Hockey League, but about sports, is loyalty is this big. There's no loyalty. They're not loyal. It's, what have you done for me lately?
Well, I mean,
and their patience is not long. It's not big. And I feel bad for Bergie. He did a great job. So I just wanted to make mention of that because I was pissed when Montreal fired him. I was pissed.
Well, I respectfully, I feel differently. And I've only heard a lot of great things about him. I know he's a great hockey mind. I mean, we know that. I'm in the camp, and I think Craig, I don't know if Craig was just making a counterpoint or voicing my side of it, but I mean, I said last week when we were talking to Brian Giunta about it, who was there, he was the captain for Montreal under his time there, and I just said, I just thought it was time for him. I mean, just the offer sheet, the draft pick, the first round draft pick this year was, I mean, that's a tough one to swallow. You draft the kid anyway when he's got that incident going on with the girl. I mean, I don't know. There were some other trades down the pipe.
Hey, valid points.
It doesn't mean he'll get a job. I mean, that was the first thing I thought was like, well, where's the next opening that he lands in? Because he's going to be the first candidate, in my opinion, to fall into a spot.
Listen, maybe he's been a GM, and the amount of hours that you need to do in that job is extreme. Okay. You are 24/7 on top of things. You're constantly evaluating. You're not only working on your team, but you're working on the prospects coming up. You're working on your American League team, everything. And I think it's a lot. And maybe Bergevin wants to take a little time off. Just give himself a little time to regroup. I don't think it would be a good idea. And that's just me personally. So I don't know him, but I think that a little time off, a little reset would be good for Bergevin. I think he's going to be a GM in this league 100% again. And there's going to be a team that's going to love to have him because he's very dialed in. He's I liked everything about him when he was he was a great fit for Montreal. He was a great fit for Montreal.
That's a good point. Well, listen, I have 8 minutes before I have to get on another call. So let's find something else to talk about because we've hammered the firings. Is there anything else going on that is fun to talk to? I don't have to rip anybody.
Sports betting. Are you liking the fact that gambling is legal now? Sports gambling is legal.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. I love it. I'm a gambler, and I think it's great. I think it's I think certain drugs should be legalized, and gambling should be legalized. And I thought that the government would do it. They do everything else anyway. They try to take everybody's money anyway. Why wouldn't they be the bookie and
they need their cut, right?
I know. I'm surprised that the government hasn't legalized gambling and they take it over themselves and they're the book. And I'm surprised that they haven't taken over legalizing marijuana and they're the drug dealer. It's I'm shocked.
That's coming.
I mean, they
That's
try to get in everybody's pocket anyway.
long overdue.
You know, but yes, I'm a huge component of the gambling aspect. Yes.
So do you bet now? Do you bet on like
I do.
Do you bet on hockey at all?
I do now. Yeah,
So
I do now.
So if I tell you,
So last night I had a nice parlay. I took Washington to win, and I took Dallas -1.5 against Arizona, which usually nowadays is not a bad play. Pretty much every game.
I've been taking overs, left, right, and center, and I've been hitting all the time. Other than the fact I'm not afraid to admit it, the over under on the Bills game last night got all the way down to 40.5 that I took the over anyway.
Yeah.
But not for much, Riv. Riv's
Listen,
like, you're winning. Like, don't bet it all. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna throw a little guy on the Bills game here and
why would you ever take the over? And you saw the conditions.
I know. I live in Orchard Park. I saw the conditions. I still
like JR, you wouldn't even believe it was damn near impossible to throw the ball in one direction of the field. If you had the wind in your face, then there was zero, and I mean absolutely zero chance that you could throw a ball 10 feet.
All right, JR. Here we go. I'm going to give you the lines for tonight's game. You're going to pick them. Pick the winners, okay? Yeah. Here we go.
Write these down, Petey.
Well, we have the tape, eh? We can go back and listen. Okay, Tampa, Montreal, 5.5. I'll just give you over-unders because that's what I'm betting. But Tampa.
Where's the game? Where's the game?
Montreal.
I'll take Tampa.
You'll take Tampa? I'm going to take the over in that. I think 5.5. I think Tampa's going to pump.
I would take the under. Go ahead.
Okay.
Why would you take the under on that?
Because I think Montreal is going to try to play a very stingy defensive game because that's probably the only way that they can beat Tampa and try to just win by defense and get some luck on the special teams.
That's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's Montreal, and people like to go out in Montreal.
That's true.
Tampa's a good team.
I'm gonna say Tampa 3-1.
Okay. Ottawa Islanders in Ottawa 5.5.
I'm taking Ottawa.
Over under?
Under.
Really? Okay. Mm-hmm. Columbus Toronto line is 6.
The Islanders are where they are right now because of lack of scoring. So Ottawa, I'm going to take Ottawa and under. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Columbus Toronto.
Where's the game?
Toronto.
Toronto's coming back off a road trip, right?
Yep.
Yes.
You know
what they say, JR.
I know.
That first game back is not good.
Is over under is 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over, and I'm gonna take Columbus +1.5.
Okay, Nashville Buffalo, and then we'll let you go. Anaheim Buffalo. Line is 6, and +105.
Yeah, I'm taking Anaheim.
Okay.
And I'll venture the over.
Yes, well, I can tell you the over.
We
talked about loyalty.
UPL.
This is the Seinfeld episode. We talked about loyalty. The overs have been very loyal.
I think you get unless you're betting Arizona. Arizona's probably at a 75 clip under, 80 clip under. So, yeah.
You're the man.
They can't score goals either. They can't score goals either.
Enjoy your week.
You guys are the best. I'm glad to be back on with
50
you guys
minutes. Again. I can't believe it's been 50 minutes.
Throw a glass of water in there, eh, bud? You still got a long week in Naples there, big guy.
All right, a great episode with JR, and he was on limited time, so I didn't want to interrupt with another story. That's the great thing about podcasts and not being on live radio too, by the way. You can interrupt and edit out, and you know what I mean? But I just want to tell you a story because you know how we told the story about the neck guards?
Yep.
I'm telling this one so that we can edit this out because I don't like to edit anything out with JR. Okay, it's just a flawless run. But I'm telling you this so that we can edit it out because maybe it's in bad taste. So, and this is a true blue story. And I feel like anytime someone says that too, Craig, that means that they're lying. But it's just such a gutless comment that It's hard to believe that anybody can even think this way in a moment of just chaos. Okay, so I can't remember the night. We were playing the Florida Panthers. This goes back to the neck guard conversation. JR was talking about guys getting clipped in the neck. We're playing against Florida. I think it's a 4:00 game. Might have been a 5:00 game, maybe even a 6:00 game. I don't remember. It was earlier. And we had no morning skate. And I remember I woke up late, like 10 o'clock, and I ran to McDonald's and got like 6 Egg McMuffins. That was my pregame meal, right? That's what I remember about the day.
You ate all 6 of them?
I don't know if I ate all 6, but I was hungover because there was no morning skate. Like it's almost like a free day, right? Like it's open for a night out. I don't care.
I hear you.
I'm recovering 9.5 years sober. Like, don't kid yourself. The NHL sunk its fangs into me, and I started to, if we had no morning skate the next day, that was a sleep in and a hydration all day. Get ready for the game. You know what I'm talking about. But
yeah,
anyway.
I had that day on Friday and Saturday morning. It was like, I'm never drinking again. Like I haven't said that, and I can't even tell you how long, but I said it on Saturday morning.
So I go to the rink. We play the game. We're in the middle of the game. I think it's the first period. I can't remember what period it's in. I think it's the first period. Play happens, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Pat Coletta scores his first NHL goal. I get an assist. Coletta blows right past me and Mersey, right through me and Mersey are about to come in for the hug.
Yep.
Right? Coletta, we thought he was coming over. Coletta blows right through me and Mersey right to the glass, like slams in the glass, chest slam. He's still having his moment, but it was like so like kind of, it was like he's off over there and we're over here celebrating. Later that game, so I think maybe the second period, I think it was the second period when it happened, Zednik gets the skate in the neck. Okay? I don't know if you remember Richard Zednik took, I think it was Jokin's skate.
I played with Z in Montreal for 5 years.
Do you remember this incident? Do you remember him having his throat?
Yes, I do. It was against Florida Panthers, correct?
Yeah. So Zednik gets his throat slit against us. And it, like, I just remember, I didn't see it happen. I just remember the reaction on the bench. Like someone goes, holy shit, right? And everyone kind of looks. And I'm like, what's going on, right? And I just saw this guy skating back kind of almost to the bench, but he's like bent over holding onto his face. And I'm like, what's going on? And you saw like a blood and then like a stream of blood, right? And there's a puddle of blood. And I'm painting the scene for the comment for a reason. There's a puddle of blood and he's going by. And I remember looking at Zednik after like wondering where the blood's coming from. And he's holding his glove like down, and it was down here, like holding it with his glove on because he still had his glove on. His glove, and he was being escorted by somebody, and his glove, and it wasn't a doctor, it was a player, because if he'd stayed on the ice, he would have died. His glove was like, it was blue. The Panthers' gloves were blue, but it was like extra dark, like wet blue from the dark red blood that was all over his hand, down his palm, like jersey. And I just remember I was in shock. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to die. He's going to die. Yeah. He could die, right? I thought he was going to die. Okay. Packle and I are sitting there. It turns into like a delay. Like it's
you
so
finished
cool.
the rest of that game? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Did you play the rest of the game?
So we it's so quiet in the rink. Lindy goes down the back hall. Like they start meeting about what they should do. It's like, I can't remember. It felt like, I'm going to say 45 minutes. I think it was like 45 minutes. I'm going to say 45 minutes. I think we went in the room, flooded, figured shit out, came back out. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but the place was silent. And I think they were giving updates. Richard Zednik's in an ambulance on his way to the hospital. He's responsive or whatever, like along the way, right? And then they gave like the final thing, like Richard Zednik's going to be okay. We end up going back to play. But in that intermission time, this is the gutless part. In that intermission time, players on the bench were all talking and we're like, are they going to cancel the game? Like, why are we playing? Why are we even going to finish this game? Who wants to play? Nobody wanted to play. Yeah. Like Tim Connolly was super superstitious, and, you know, he was at a point in his career where he was always starting to get hurt. And I'm like, what happens? He's like, dude, I don't want to talk about it. That's exactly what he said. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. Right. And I was like, okay. So I said, did you see what happened? And he's like, I don't want to talk about, because I can't remember if he was on the ice or not. So Patty Collette and I are sitting beside each other, and he had just scored his first NHL goal. And I just looked at him and I said, fuck. I hope they don't cancel this game. He looked at me, he's like, why? I said, I need that fucking assist. They better not cancel this fucking game and make us replay it.
That is your story. I didn't
so
see.
sorry.
I'm shocked that that was just said right to me. That's the conversation that you two are having on the bench.
Yes.
You got a guy that blood pouring out of his neck. You don't know if he's going to survive, and you're worried about an assist.
I was worried. About an assist. And the plus.
Oh my God.
That's a wrap on another episode of After the Whistle. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, After the Whistle, and at Craig Rivet 52, at the Instigator 76. And you can find us, as you already know, on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and anywhere else where you can get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to spread the word.